Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Count Jinsula, and welcome to another Pokemon Go video. So today we're going to be doing a deep dive on one of my personal favorite Pokemon for the Go Battle League, and it is, of course, going to be Haunter. I personally think this one Pokemon is one of the most underrated Pokemon in the Go Battle League. It may not necessarily be the top tier Pokemon, and there's quite a lot of counters to this Pokemon, but if you use it correctly and you utilize its strengths, you will win a ton of games in the Go Battle League, especially in the Great League. I'm going to be talking about all of that in today's video, so let's roll the intro and jump right into it. Alrighty, let's do this deep dive of Haunter, probably the most underrated Pokemon in the Go Battle League. Haunter is a ghost and poison type Pokemon, and it is the evolved form of Ghastly. Not a lot of players will pay attention to Haunter, especially because it is the pre-evolved form of Gengar, which is typically a much more popular Pokemon. But when it comes to the Go Battle League, this Pokemon is actually really good, given that there are certain Pokemon that have very few counters but get hard countered by Haunter. I'll get more into that in a little bit, but let's get into its base stats first. So, among the 3 stats that a Pokemon can have, Haunter definitely stands out with its attack stat. It has a base attack stat of 223, which means it's going to be on the higher end when it comes to the amount of damage it could deal among all of the Pokemon that qualify for the Great League. But it's kind of offset with a very low defense stat and stamina stat. It has 107 base defense stat and 128 base stamina. This means that this Pokemon is going to be one of your strongest glass cannons that you could bring in the Great League, so there's a bit of a risk-reward tied to it. Now, I'm sure you figured it out by now, but this Pokemon is not going to be useful in raid battles under any circumstance. You will want to go with Gengar, which is of course its evolved form, but when it comes to the Great League, this Pokemon has a lot of potential to just throw off your opponents. In order to show you what I mean, let's take a look at some of his key wins according to pvpoke.com. Now, if you take a look at his rankings page from pvpoke, you would see that he has some key wins against some of the strongest Pokemon that you can come up against, such as with Medicham, Deoxys Defense Form, Azumarill, Skarmory, and Nidoqueen Shadow. As of the time that I'm recording this video, these are some of the most common Pokemon that are featured in the Great League right now, and that is of course because the meta is currently filled with Walreins and Galarian Stunfisks, so these Pokemon are very commonly used in order to counter those specific Pokemon. But let's say you are running Galarian Stunfisk and Pokemon like Walrein, well, you could actually throw a Haunter in there in order to counter against some of their Pokemon. Ultimately, it's kind of a cheese play because Haunter is one Pokemon that hard counters specific Pokemon, and it's a strategy that you could use to your advantage. Haunter is a very powerful Pokemon, and it's going to be really strong in a lot of different situations. And because this Pokemon is not commonly used in the Great League, a lot of players will just never be prepared for it. Now, this is a situation of high risk, high reward. Because Haunter does a lot of damage, but it also takes a lot of damage, it could get wiped out pretty easily if your opponent has the right counter to it. These sort of counters include Pokemon like a Shadow Hypno, Galarian Stunfisk, or even a Swampert. These Pokemon could completely wipe out your Haunter, and you could be down a Pokemon pretty much right off the bat. But with enough practice and familiarity with this Pokemon, you could actually squeak out just a lot more wins because of just how powerful this Pokemon is. It has very strong offensive capabilities in the Great League, and there's just not a lot of people who will be running counters that are going to be directly strong against it. Considering that Pokemon Go's Go Battle League system is basically a glorified rock, paper, scissors game, there will naturally be a couple of matchups where you will get hard countered and there will be nothing you can do about it. But there will also be a lot of matches where you are going to win in a very satisfactory manner, where you will just completely dominate their entire team with just one Pokemon. But of course, getting to that state is going to require a lot of preparation. Now, because Haunter is a glass cannon, the IVs may not necessarily matter as much. It's going to be all about dealing as much damage as possible before it gets knocked out, so all you really need to focus on is getting as close as possible to level 28 on this Pokemon before hitting that 1500 CP cap. But if you are interested in the rank 1 IVs for this Pokemon, then you will want to look for one that has 1 attack, 15 defense, and 14 stamina. This will make your Haunter the absolute most powerful it can be, especially because those defense and stamina IVs are going to make up for its low base defense and stamina stat. Now, it's not just its high attack stat that makes it one of the most standout Pokemon in the Go Battle League. It's actually its move pool. So let's talk about the most ideal moves that you could bring on Haunter, and why these moves are going to make it the powerhouse that it actually is. First and foremost, Haunter can have the fast moves Shadow Claw, Lick, and Astonish. Every single one of these are ghost type moves, but there's only one that is going to be the standout, and that is of course going to be Shadow Claw. It not only deals a very high amount of attack damage, but it also generates a lot of energy, which will allow you to get off a lot more charge moves to nuke down or bait out some shields. Now, in terms of those charge attacks, it can come with Shadow Ball, Shadow Punch, Sludge Bomb, and Dark Pulse. Now, of course, when it comes to Pokemon like Haunter, you would think to have a bunch of type coverage, and most certainly Haunter does come with a lot of different moves that could give you that type coverage. But you will want to go with Shadow Punch, considering just how many times you can get it off in a single battle, and then of course you will want to get Shadow Ball, because it is going to be his absolute hardest hitting charge move that it can have. It's going to be all about dealing as much damage as possible in the shortest amount of time. You will probably burn through both shields with Haunter, but your goal is to deal as much damage as you can in order to knock out your opponent's Pokemon even if they use shields. This will take a lot of practice, but you will want to try to bait out as many shields as you possibly can from your opponent and then nuke it down with Shadow Ball. This strategy tends to work plenty of times, even in cases where you are going up against a Pokemon that counters Haunter, and that is of course because Shadow Ball combined with Haunter's extremely high attack stat just deals an insane amount of damage. Now, of course, because Haunter is a glass cannon, you will want to make sure you have a couple of safe switches on your team. I highly suggest going with Galarian Stunfisk because there's just a lot of Pokemon that counter Haunter that are weak against Galarian Stunfisk, and vice versa. So you will be pretty well prepared there, and you're going to be able to counter a lot of different matchups that you typically would come across within the Great League. So overall, Haunter is a very powerful Pokemon, and it's not one that is commonly used in the Great League. But if you are able to put a lot of practice into it with this Pokemon, then you will be good to go in a lot of the most difficult matchups. So this is definitely a Pokemon I recommend, and it's something that you should try out. It's also really easy to get compared to most Great League Pokemon, considering that Ghastly is typically something that you will see at nighttime. So if you're out playing Pokemon Go at nighttime, make sure you're looking out for those Ghastlys, because those Pokemon can produce a Haunter, and that is something you could potentially use in the Great League to great success. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this deep dive and found it to be useful. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell so you stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support this channel in any way, then do consider checking out the links in the description below. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.